This cool. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. Joined now by Matt Stepp of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. He's had a long day. He's cross country traveler from all the way from Canada. Matt is working his way down to College Station. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing wonderful. Feel good to be back in Texas.
Always good to be back home. And like I spend, half the year in Canada, half the year in Texas. So the half the year that I'm in Canada, I come down to Texas for big events, and the state 7-on-7 tournament is obviously a big event. Super looking forward to it to get started on Thursday down in College Station.
For sure. Well, we down here in the Brazos Valley, we've got 5 teams competing at state 7-on-7, 2 in Division 1, 3 in Division 3. Let's just break down some of these schools. A&M Consolidated, they're the defending state champions in Division 1. They don't have anybody returning from that 2019 team, and they're looking for a starting quarterback. Splitting time. I talked to Coach Fedora. He said they've been splitting time between a rising senior, Brody Daniel, incoming freshman, Will Hargett. He's the grandson of A&M quarterback Ed Hargett from back in the 60s, 70s. What are you kind of seeing from the Consol Tigers as they begin their title defense?
It's hard to get a read on them right now because they only played in one tournament. Typically, a lot of times teams when they're young and they've got a lot of pieces to replace will play in a lot more tournaments to kind of get those extra reps and kind of steal some time and some reps for those young guys to be a little more ahead of the curve when the season started. But A&M Consolidated didn't do that. They only played in their one qualifier, which they hosted, and they did very well. They went 4-0 and did a good job, and I think they went 4-0. They qualified, and looking at their scores, I wasn't there obviously, but looking at their scores, I thought they did a good job. And traditionally, Consol has been a team that's been very good at 7-on-7. They don't run a 7-on-7 offense. They run what they run in the season. And so they're very adept at their schemes. They execute really well. And, they've got a little bit of home field advantage. The local teams have fared quite well the past couple of state tournaments. And I don't expect any different. I think Consol maybe isn't a contender to win it all at the moment. But I definitely think in their pool, which is a very tough pool, with, I believe, Geyer and Klein Kane kind of headlining that pool, it's a good pool. I do think Consol has a chance to play very well in that pool and move on to the championship bracket. But there's a lot of questions. I'm anxious to see how they look with some of the new pieces because, we think highly of Consol. And Coach Fedora does a heck of a job. And so I'll be very interested to see how they look on a Friday in pool play against some really good competition.
For sure. Well, the other in-town team that's playing at State 7-on-7 Division 1, the College Station Cougars, they seem to be legit contenders, and they got weapons all over the place. Jed Huff at quarterback. Out wide, they've got Houston Thomas, Traylon Sewell, Dartland Carnes. Marquise Collins will be in there. He's stepping up at running back with Roderick Brown graduating. That defense is really strong. They've got some guys in the secondary that can make plays. This team seems to have the makings to make a run at a title. And from my glance, it kind of seems like they got a pretty good draw in pool play too.
Yeah, I think College Station is one of the 5 or 6 teams that I've kind of got circled that have a chance to win it all. They won it in 2018. And they're always very good. They play a lot. They go to a lot of tournaments, and you can get a good gauge on them because they play out of town. They'll go to Dallas, they'll go to Tyler, they'll go to the Austin area and play. So you kind of know where they stand against some of the better teams from outside of the area right away. They've got a lot of depth, and those are the things, especially on day 2 of the tournament, that you really need to win is that depth. The College Station has built up a lot of depth because they play a lot of guys. And so obviously with the veteran quarterback, with Huff leading the offense there, we obviously think they're going to be really good in real football. We saw our rankings where we have College Station ranked. We think they're going to be outstanding this fall and a contender in a loaded Region 2. And I think they're going to be a contender to bring home the gold this weekend at Veterans Park. They're one of the teams. I'd say if you had a list of 4 or 5 favorites, College Station High would be one of those favorites.
For sure. Before we move on to Division 3, who are some of those other contenders that you got an eye on in Division 1 that could be up there playing in the quarterfinals, semifinals against a team like College Station if they advanced it that far.
What's interesting this year is the Dallas and the Houston areas really don't have anyone that just jumps off the page as powerful. This year, I think because they've had a lot of kids out at camp, so there's a lot of questions with the Dallas and Houston teams this year. If I had to say Dallas and Houston, I'd say Denton Guyer and Hebron and DeSoto out of the Metroplex are probably the three teams that I would watch. Out of the Houston area, Humboldt, Atascocita, and Katy Tompkins probably are a couple that I would absolutely have my eye on. And then you have the two powerhouses on the west side of Austin there with Westlake and Lake Travis making some noise as well. If you're looking for kind of a sleeper team to make some noise outside of those areas, I'd go with Midland Lee. I think they have a chance to really make some noise as well. So those are kind of a few of the teams that I think have a chance to win it all.
For sure. Well, moving along to Division III, three Brazos Valley schools playing in that bracket. You got Franklin, Hearn, and Lexington. We'll start with Franklin. They're your number one team in Dave Campbell's preseason poll in 3A Division II. And it's kind of interesting because this is the first time that Franklin's ever been at state 7-on-7. For me, I think it's going to be weird seeing them go 5 wide and shotgun, but they've got the dudes that can make those plays. You think about Marcus Wade at quarterback. Malcolm Murphy's kind of a two-way stud. They've got Bryson Washington. The list goes on and on. I talked with Hayden Helton and Braden Smith last week. I went out there. They're going to be a state contender this fall running the ball, but they might be able to show that they can win throwing it too.
Yeah, that state championship game against Canadian that they, pushed Canadian to the limit, they showed the ability to throw the ball when they needed to throw it. So I think Coach Fannin has kind of hinted at opening the offense up a little bit. Are we going to see Franklin in 4 and 5 wide sets in real football? No. But I do think they do feel like in order to take that next step, they are going to have to throw the ball, pick their spots and be able to throw the ball with accuracy and with major efficiency in the fall. And I think playing 7-on-7 helps. Obviously, defensively, it helps because most everyone else runs the spread. So their defensive backs are getting a lot of work with their coverages and their ball skills and those kind of things. I think Franklin's a team to watch out for in College Station. I think at the state tournament, they're going to, because of the talent that they have, in the winning pedigree, I think they're a team to watch out for. They may not have the 7-on-7 experience that some other teams have, but in the Division III bracket, we've seen teams that traditionally run the football, but be very good at real football, fare very well. C. Gunter a couple of years ago, they're a team that runs basically a pistol flex bone offense, and they won it all in 2018 in 7-on-7, and have obviously been really, really good in real football as well. So it won't be a surprise to me if Franklin makes a lot of noise.
Sure. Hearn, they made it to the semifinals in 2019. They lost to the eventual state champion Poth. Well, Hearn gets Poth in their pool. They're going to get a little rematch. And, if we know anything about Hearn, they've got athleticism. And it starts with Jabari Dunn, and they're going to have dudes that can go out and make plays.
Yeah, Hearn has been very strong, very, very quietly, very strong in 7-on-7. And Coach Sargent's done an excellent job with that program, getting them to be consistent playoff teams and consistent district title contenders now. And I think Hearn is a team that's going to make some noise. They're a tough matchup for a lot of teams in the small school level because of the type of speed that they bring to the table. So I think Hearn's a team to keep an eye on. They fared very well in the qualifying tournaments they played in. That they've shown they're strong, and obviously, as evidenced by their run a couple of years ago, they've shown that at the state tournament they can do some damage. And like I said, those local teams seem to fare. I think it's something about sleeping in your own bed and not having to get a hotel room that's favored Consol and College Station High. I think it's going to help Franklin and Hearn at the state tournament because they're not going to have to travel very far. They can go home each night and sleep in their own bed and everything. So that I think that'll help them. And I think Hearn, along with Franklin, is a team that can make some noise.
Well, last but not least, Lexington. We have not banished them from the Brazos Valley. I promise. I promise. But, Lexington, they're kind of a team that they've been around. They've advanced to the state tournament back when they were just Division II. They've gone in Division III now. Jared Kerr, he's the star of the show for the Eagles. He's going to play both ways, probably going to carry their team pretty well. They're gonna face Wascom in their pool.
Good pool, yeah.
And I think that's gonna be a really good game. Looking at Franklin, Hearn, and Lexington, how do you think they stack up? And do you think any of them really have a chance at making push for that state championship?
I think all three of them are in the top, I'd say, of the 32 teams in Division III. I would place all three of them in the top 10. I think all three have a chance to at least they have a puncher's chance to win it. I mean, these teams are all very good, and they each bring unique things to the table. I think Jared Kerr is the best player in the Division III bracket, and when you have a guy like that on your team, you can make some noise. Lexington does very well traditionally in 7-on-7. This is not anything new to them, and I think they're going to be a tough out as well. So I don't think of those three teams, any of them, it would not shock me if any of those three won the title on Friday afternoon. So I think the Brazos Valley area has got a chance to have a really successful weekend. They're going to have a lot of teams, I think, making some noise this weekend.
Gotcha. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about too, the games, they're being shortened from 40 minutes to 30 minutes. I talked with Coach Fedora, Coach Huff. They both, Huff seemed to really like that. College Station, they go and play in these select tournaments where some of these games, it's 20 minutes running clock and that's it. And it's just boom, 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 boom. How do you think maybe the 30-minute game is going to change things, maybe help? And then, especially on that second day where if you're going to win this thing, you got to play 5 games in one day. Yeah,
I think talking to the coaches and what I've seen, I think it's helped the pace of the game. I think a little bit more of a sense of urgency. When they had the 40-minute game, number one, the 10-minute halftime was just way too long. 10-minute halftime in 7-on-7 is just way too long. So they got rid of that. That was great. But I think the urgency, every possession means something now. There's not any wasted possessions, and everybody plays with a higher tempo. So you really don't. You look at the scores from the qualifying tournaments, and most of the time they've been about what they were with the 40-minute games. And I think that's because teams played with more urgency. I think it makes it for a better watch. I think it makes the day go by a little quicker. It makes it a little bit better experience for the fans and also for the players as well, because you can kind of get in and out of there with your games, and they don't drag out.
Gotcha. Well, I'm a big food guy. I don't know about you, but is there any place in College Station you're like, I'm hitting that place up when you come down here for the weekend?
So College Station, no. College Station for us has a little bit of a bad rap on the food scene because it's kind of chain restaurant hell. To be honest, there's just a lot of chains. It's a college town. It's just that's what college towns are. There are a lot of chain restaurants. I think a lot of the hidden gems in the area are like in downtown Bryan. We always go to I think downtown Bryan is awesome. It's got a lot of charm and a lot of uniqueness. So we always end up going to Bryan and finding a place to eat in downtown Bryan. So like last time we went to, I think it was called 3rd and Main, I think.
Yeah.
We went there last time. We thought it was awesome. We loved it. We're talking about going back there, but we're always open to suggestions for our team dinner Wednesday night. Because we always, the Dave Campbell's crew, we get down there Wednesday and kind of get set up and get everything going, so we're not rushing around on Thursday. Thursday, Friday, we usually just like order pizza because we're usually wiped out from the day. We just order pizza or Chick-fil-A. But Wednesday night we go out and have a team dinner, and so last time we went to 3rd and Main. I don't know where we're going tomorrow night. I know it'll be somewhere good, but my guess would be if we go anywhere, it'll be in downtown Bryan. We really like downtown Bryan. They've done a nice job with kind of revitalizing that area, and there's some cool. Because be honest, you go to a chain restaurant, Chili's tastes the same in College Station as it does in Dallas-Fort Worth, right? It's all the same.
That's true.
So we want to go somewhere where we can't get normally in the Metroplex. So we found those hidden gems there in downtown Bryan for the most part.
Hey, that's a great place to go. I give the stamp of approval.
All right. We need the local stamp of approval, so it's good.
Well, and one more question before you go. It's no secret that the Texas A&M defense is on the cover of this year's Dave Campbell's magazine, and it's starting to make its way out throughout the state. Is there going to be any chance that anybody can buy a copy of the magazine out at state this weekend?
Yes, we will have some. We hope that you've already gotten your magazine in the mail, because we one of the perks of being a subscriber on TexasFootball.com is we do mail your magazine out to you early, so you don't have to go searching around the stores. But if you are not a subscriber, become one. But cheap plug there, got to get that in. But if you're not a subscriber and you want to get a magazine, we will have a tent set up there. We will have some copies for sale. We'll sell them until we run out. I'll tell you, 2 years ago when we brought them out there, we were out early Friday. They flew off the rack. so to speak, out at Veterans Park. We ran out. We brought more this year, but I don't know how long they're going to last, so we'll see. But we will have a tent set up. Typically, it's around field 7 and 8, kind of those 2 turf fields in the middle by the pavilion there. The old pavilion. I think there's a new pavilion now, but usually last time we were set up around field 7, field 8. So we'll have a big tent with Dave Campbell's on it, and you'll see magazines there. So if you want to buy a copy, please come see us, and we will sell you a copy. And then if you see us running around, feel free to say hello to us, and we'll have the whole crew out there. Myself, Greg Tepper, Ishmael Johnson, Ashley Pickle, Mallory Hartley. We'll have the whole crew, and then we're doing a live broadcast with our broadcasting partners, Texan Live. So it's going to be a big weekend. We're excited about it.
Awesome. Well, how can people follow you on Twitter so they can stay in touch after State 7-on-7's over?
So our, Dave Campbell's Twitter is at DCTF. So definitely, if you're not following that account, please go follow that. And my personal account is Matt with 2 T's _Stepp with 2 P's 817. So you'll get a lot of high school football in the fall, but you'll get a lot of other random things as well on my Twitter, from food to traveling to how things are in Canada to sad tweets about the Baltimore Orioles and all kinds of stuff in between. So it's a wild ride for sure.
Well, Matt, we appreciate you coming on, giving a little insight on teams here in the Brazos Valley and around the state. Look forward to seeing you out there this weekend.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on. You guys do a heck of a job down there at the Eagle, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys as well.
All right. That is Matt Stepp, everyone.